my timer because I'm like unlimited offer. I don't know when to stop. Someone should tell me, hey, you should stop now. Okay, so greetings of the day. Thanks for joining this third session. And as every session, this session will be hands-on, purely hands-on. The only thing is I could not collect the MS module links, which I'll do it and update. So I'll give you a couple of links at the starting so that you guys can keep it handy. And this is my GitHub main page, and under the speaker series C# corner will be having all this session. We initially planned 18. It could be 20 or 22. I don't mind doing number of sessions more. And here we will have the code. All the source code is in that location, but I will move all the code in one centralized location so that any enhancements or updates which is coming to AZ204 cert, I will redo that in 2023. That's the plan. So what are we going to do today is many things we are going to do today. So let's quickly watch what are we going to do. And because we have a lot of things to cover, I might take questions at the last because covering 10 points is too very it's not too very tough, but it's lot of things to cover. So that's the only reason I might not be stopping in for any queries, but we can make it interactive in some other day or some other time. As I was mentioning, there is no limit that I'm going to stop at 18 sessions or 20 sessions. It could be 20, 25 or 30, whatever the number of sessions. And before that, there is one event which I'm doing that will be in Hyderabad, India. I don't know whether it will be in a hybrid mode, which Stephen can guide us more. That will be a 90 minutes workshop kind of thing. So what are you guys going to get in that 90 minutes? This is my repo, the products microservice. So to create one microservice, we did 10 sessions. I mean, I need to update this document, but all the summary of these 10 sessions, including the document, a lot of things will come into picture, like how do you create Azure Kubernetes service, Azure Kubernetes service using Terraform, and how does GitHub Actions recognizes Azure, and how do you give the tokens, and how do you deploy the Terraform to Azure using the GitHub Actions, and how do you Dockerize your image through the GitHub Actions, and how do you pull this image from the Docker Hub and deploy to the AKS, and you do CRUD operations, and also a little bit of playing around the extensions or the Azure Cloud Shell, and an imperative way to speak to Azure Kubernetes. That's the session. A minimum 90 minutes it will go. It will go more than 90 minutes for sure. But if they expose it live while I'm talking, it will be. But there's an in-person event in Hyderabad. Okay, coming back to our event, we have a lot of things to do. So let's hit the road pretty quick. So first, what we will do is we will quickly create two things without wasting time, because we have a lot of big things to do. So we'll create one virtual machine and one web app using the ARM templates, because when you are working on AZ204 or AZ104, having the skill set of Biceps or Terraform is this ARM templates is very, very important. Biceps is not yet included, but ARM is like the must skill set. Enhancing your skill set on Bicep and Terraform will be helpful in your career. but ARM is like born and raised in Azure. So ARM template skill set is very much needed. So what I'll be doing is section 7 and session 1 we will do it at Hey guys, please mute yourself. Okay, I'm sorry. So we'll do section 1 and session 7 first, and then we will go ahead with the rest of the things. What we do is we'll configure a virtual machine. I mean, I already pre-created and configured it, but we will speak about each and every point, what all the things you should do it. How do you host applications on IaaS? We do that. And then we'll deploy a web API, which will speak to a SQL server. And then that will speak to a SQL server. And then we will deploy a Blazor WASM. And then we will integrate Blazor WASM with the web API. And that's how you will know how much efforts is involved to deploy your apps on infrastructure as a service, IaaS, infrastructure as a service. Then we will switch to PaaS, where it is platform as a service. Then you see the heavy lifting which is done by the cloud provider to deploy. And then we do a compare and contrast, and we'll go deep into the weeds. OK, so without further ado, let's go ahead and start these two things. This is a resource group. At this point of time, I do a refresh, and also I do a full refresh. We don't see any resources in here. OK, we don't see any resources in here. And let me come to this one and go little down. And I do a dir. I go into infrastructure and then A3. And I need to get into A5. Okay, so that's a basic templates, ARM templates. And how did I get it? I'll teach you how did I made this. It's very, very simple, guys. As I was mentioning, there are multiple ways to do it. We don't need to put our efforts at all. There are multiple ways, as I was mentioning. To see this, one thing what we can do is we can go to this Azure Quick Start templates. You will have this Quick Start templates where you can go to this templates. You will find hundreds of these things. You don't need to worry about this one. OK, and also you can do browse on GitHub. So you can come into this one and click on Quick Start. And you see that the Quick Start itself will have lot many things in under compute. You can see that under each section, you have a lot of things like one VM with the load balancer and two NICs, and one VM, two NICs, two subnets, one virtual network. So you can get into here itself under this section, under compute section itself, you see that there is the host number of options. You have it. You don't need to put much of an effort in this one, because let's assume that you got this file and you don't understand what is happening. So what you can do is I'll show you another technique. So what you can do is you can get the link and come to your Azure subscription and go to that link. And after coming to that link, that will ask you to go ahead and deploy. Will not deploy, but we will see that how many ways you can create. So it comes here. So what you can do is you can click on this visualize. So that resource visualizer will give you how many resources it is creating and what is the hierarchy. So there is a virtual machine, and because this is a managed disk, it will create the storage account. And you have a NIC1 and NIC2. So NIC1 has been assigned a public IP. And both NIC1 and NIC2 has been assigned to this virtual network, which has got a NSG. and all the load whichever is coming to this network should pass through this. And here in NIC1 as explicitly NSG. So you can see that one. OK. Another way is another thing what you can do is you can give where you want to deploy. Like I'm just selecting these some of those options and give some username, some password and blah, 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 do all those things and ensure that this is what you wanted it. OK, give something. I mean, whatever you want, not something, whatever you want, give it, and then click on edit template. Once you click on that edit template, this template will give you all the options and selections whatever you have done, and copy that and paste it into your deploy JSON. Paste it into your deploy JSON. Then you can click on discard and click on edit parameters. And whatever the parameters which we have given, those parameters will be here. Now you copy this. Some of the things is these kind of functions which is not applicable in the parameters. You need to give the hard-coded value, whether it is EastUS or something. But that's a small modification. This is one of the way you can do it. And other crude ways, sometimes I follow that. You don't know how to do it. So what we can do is we'll come in here and we'll go ahead and we'll create something. OK, it's something which is very easy and quick to complete. OK, let's come in here and let's take the app service plan, or yeah, let's take the simple, but the technique is the same. Like you click on the app service and you fill all these things, whatever is needed. And then you come into this. I think I missed something. Plan demo 1, 2, 3, 4. OK, and then come click and review and create, but you don't do anything. And then what you do is you will get this download the template for automation. So you got it here. You got the template here. You got the parameters here and the scripts. Scripts you can use the PowerShell or AZ CLI. We are using AZ CLI. This is another way to do. There are a lot of tools are also available. Like if you go to Azure Explorer tools here, so you have tools and you don't need to sweat at all, because a lot of people, they already created hundreds and hundreds of templates and they have outsourced it. I mean, sorry, open sourced it. So you can grab it and do the modification. Like even in this one virtual machine, 2 NICs, 2 subnets, and 1 VNet, we go and we want to do some other thing, add something within the same template. So create another virtual machine and you have 2 subnets, place one virtual machine in one subnet, other virtual machine in other subnet, and hook it up to the same virtual net. We can do that customization. You have something base. On top of that, you do some experiments and you know the delta. And another way to do is like you come to this export template. So whatever is the state of that resource group, you will have that here. So and that's one way. Now you can visualize how many things are there. And suppose you did some small change, that particular deployment, you can get it from here. Like I did some SQL Server deployment. When did I do that? On 24th September. So I can click on that particular deployment. I can go back in time. Now it's like that. I can go back in time and check that what was the template it deployed and what parameters I have used and what was the template. So that's cool. Like you can go and grab this. So there are multiple ways to do it. So you don't need to worry that, OK, I don't know ARM templates. It's a lot of lines and other things, but everyone is helping you. The entire universe is helping you. Like Azure portal, it's helping, and a lot of people, they're helping, and you can create your own and export the templates and do a little bit of exploration. You can get to this deployment and check that what was that particular deployment. You deployed 10 and 20 services. You don't need to worry, or resources. You don't need to worry at all. You can go to that particular deployment which was success and go and grab that particular thing. And also this gives you the entire state. Even you do an incremental deployments to this resource group, you get everything here. And a particular deployment, whatever you do, you want it, you can grab it from there. OK, that's the first tip. Now let's come and let's do a quick deployment. As I was mentioning, that's how I created. I mean, I did take the base one and modified whatever I want. And let's do validate of this. Are you guys hearing any background noise? Here it's festival, so there's loudspeakers going on.
No, it's fine.
It's fine. OK, thanks. So the same in all, I mean, this we used it in session 1 and session 2. Again, we are using it in session 3, but it's the same concept, guys. Validate will just validate. You can see that AZ deployment group validate. You give the resource group name, you give the template file as well as the parameters file. And when you come to the deploy sh, you do AZ deployment group create, the resource group, the template file, and the parameter file. And one important thing is mode is incremental. That means it will not do any destructive action. That means if you added something or you removed something, it does action only on that one. If you're manually created and you do a complete, so that will be gone with this if you do a complete. So better to do incremental. So that's what we use all the time. So let's see, come back to our resource group. It should start flushing in those things. We can wait for a couple of minutes and then we will add one web app and then we'll destroy. Then we'll go ahead and start seeing in how do we configure infrastructure as a service, take that virtual machine and what all the things will be on our shoulders and what all the things will be on the Azure or the cloud provider's shoulders. Just give me a minute. I'll have a glass of water. Oh, I think looks like it's almost done. So that's it. It created. It didn't take much of the time. So let's see that. And what we can do is we can come to the resource visualizer. This is a new stuff which I really like it. Because at this point of time, what is the state? How many resources has been deployed and the hierarchy? You can see that your virtual machine, it's a managed disk. So you'll have a storage account and then you have a network interface card. It has an public IP and that has been hooked up to the VNet and you have a default NSG. So you can see that. And the other way, where you can do is you can go ahead and exactly you can see this 1 minute ago. So if you go here and get into this template, you'll exactly see what did we deploy. Whatever is here, we'll check the number of lines. I hope it doesn't mismatch, I think, but let's see. So 324 lines and plus or minus 1 or 2 is happening. I think the bicep creation one is out. So you can see this meta generator. I think that's the one which is missing. Apart from that block, you see the rest of the things are there. 17 minus 24. So 24. So those 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So there you go. So that metadata is out. So we're exactly getting it. Now the parameters file, you see the parameters file, 36 lines. So come back to the parameters file. You have the 30, geez, 30 lines. So what else is this different? Okay, admin password, it took it as null. It's not storing, that's good thing. It's 30, so here it is 36 lines. Somewhere something, the schema parameters, plus or minus. But what is very, very important is we are able to get it in multiple ways. That's one way. And another way is the export template, which I was talking about, that gives the overall resources which are available. So this gives you the overall resources. If you add more resources, it gives that. So let's see another quick thing, and then we'll go configuring this. Now I go back dot and dot and A3. The next thing is let's deploy A3 web app. So I'll do validate. It validates the web application. We'll keep that web application. We need it, and we can do some. Let's deploy that, and then we'll come back to that one. Okay, let's go to the step 2 of the process. The step 2 of the process is we have to configure. Now what did we do is we created a virtual machine, and that virtual machine is just like the hardware. It's just an hardware and the software, because I think you guys very well know about this diagram. I mean, different people will come up with different pizzas and that and this. So this is like a famous diagram. Definitely everyone will read that. Okay, like this is like, I love this pizza diagram very much. Okay, pizza as a service. Oh God, Jesus. Okay, so let's see this. Uh, like infrastructure as a code platform, sorry, infrastructure as a service, platform as a service. Like you see that infrastructure as a service, they say that you will get only electricity, electric, gas, and oven. Now you need to take care of fire, pizza, beer, friends, and conversation. We can stop beer till the end of the session, but can discuss on this one. So next is platform as a service. So platform as a service is like fire and pizza is also they are providing. But if you see here, what is very much important is what all the things which will be provided by the cloud provider, and what is that we need to take care. Let's come into this one, which is very important. Okay, if you see this one, if it is on-premise server, so networking, storage, servers, virtualization, OS, middleware, runtime, data application, everything is our responsibility. Okay, suppose if infrastructure as a code, so what cloud provider is doing, they are giving the server, the storage, networking, and virtualization. That's it. Now you're choosing the OS, we are paying for that OS also. Okay, OS, the middleware, and the runtime, data, and application. We need to take care of all these things. So that means critical patches, and you need to ensure that OS is getting patched, or all the applications, whatever the third-party applications you're deploying, if they have the security patch, you need to deploy and ensure that uh, uh, you have an exact firewall, advanced firewall rules. It blocks everything. Now you want to expose something carefully, you expose it. How do you expose? Are you taking care of the DOS attack or different kinds of attack, whatever the attack is? Now, lot of responsibilities will be on your shoulders. Now, when it comes to the PaaS, what is happening is OS updates is taken care by the cloud provider, the middleware, runtime, everything they are taking care. We'll see that in a moment, the runtime and other stuff. Now you need to worry about only the application, deploy the application. Okay, this is very, very important. So the next half an hour, we'll spend time on this one. And then next half an hour, we'll spend on this one, and we'll quickly do a comparison. Right, so let's come back to this one. We'll go step by step. So the first thing is we created a virtual machine. Now just logged into that virtual machine, which I already created last week. 1 week ago, I just created. That's the Windows 2016 server. Okay. After creating that, I installed the IaaS server. So you can see this. Let me drag it over here. Okay, you can come to this IaaS over here and you can select this. You can come here to all servers and then local server. And then you can come here to install any roles, like whatever you want to do that, add roles and features. So, and then you come and select next and next. And what is the server where you want to do and select IaaS, whatever you want to do it. But I installed a lot of things which are not needed, but just to ensure that this is a demo machine, I installed everything. So that's how I installed. So you can see this IaaS here. So other way you can reach this IaaS is there are multiple ways. I'll show you a few of those. Is you can come in here and then search for inet mgr. inet mgr. OK, you execute this inet mgr. It brings in the Internet Information Services. OK, that's the first thing which we installed or configured on this virtual machine. That's the first point. And the second point is I installed the Brave browser. So let's go and open up the Brave browser. That's a Brave browser. So that browser is also installed. OK, that's So let me close that. OK, the Brave browser has been installed. Then the next thing what we have to do is it's a very key thing is this one. Enable remote connection and start the management services inside IaaS. This is very key. We'll see that why. So if you come into this and go to this IaaS and select this IaaS server, and inside this IaaS server, one of the option is management services. OK, configure IaaS manager for delegated and remote administration. Just double click this one. So when you double click that, you see that use this feature to configure how clients connect to this server using remote connections in IaaS manager. Now enable remote connections. That is this Windows credentials or IaaS manager credentials, and the port is 8172. OK, suppose if it is stopped, you need to start it. So this service should be executing, and that is the port. 8172 is a port. Without this port, we'll not be able to connect. We'll see that in a minute. Not in a minute, but few minutes down the lane, we'll see that. Why that is very important. And then we have the hosting bundle. The hosting bundle is because you have to host these applications. If you come to the Brave browser, you can come in here. That's the hosting bundle. If you go to this .NET 6 download, you see that ASP.NET Core runtime. So this is the hosting bundle. You can see this on Windows. We recommend installing the hosting bundle, which includes .NET runtime and IaaS support. And IaaS support has got ASP.NET Core module v2. So what you can do is you can come back to the after installing that. OK, after installing that executable, you see that those executables are still here. So the first one was Brave, and the next one was .NET hosting bundle. After installing that .NET hosting bundle, if you go back to the server, you can see that that module should be available. Let's open that module. You can see that ASP.NET Core module v2. So where is that Brave? You can see that Brave IaaS runtime support ASP.NET Core module v2. So where do you come and validate that? So you can go back to this IaaS and under modules, you see that ASP.NET Core module V2. That that module, the runtime and IaaS support. Those three things will come with this, the hosting bundle. That's the other important thing which you have to install. I just captured the screen print of that. The next thing is web deploy. Now, what is this web deploy? Come back to this web deploy. So the web deployment tool simplifies the migration. Basically, this helps us to deploy web application and websites to the IaaS server. So that is the executable. Web deploy is another executable. You can see that the web deploy. So that was the second or the third executable which I have deployed it there. And the next thing is URL rewrite. So why do you need URL rewrite? So if you, hey, someone was unmuting themselves, I'm really sorry. It disturbs everyone else. Okay, thank you guys. So the next thing is URL rewrite. So this URL rewrite helps us when you're deploying one of the example is when you deploy Blazor WASM to IaaS. So that's when the URL rewrite will go. We will see that in 1 minute. OK, and we'll stop there and come and start creating problems. So what will happen is next 20 minutes. Next 20 minutes, what we will do is we will create a lot of problems. We will not create any solutions, but we will create a lot of problems. And then we'll understand step by step. Oh, OK, if we face this problem, this is an issue. If we face this problem, this is an issue. OK, like that, let's do that. So the first thing what I'm doing is just give me 1 more minute. Let me go and search. One thing is the resource groups. Let me check. Do I have the data store ready? Oh, I need to deploy the SQL Server also. It'll be fine. Anyways, by the time we discuss, the SQL Server will be deployed. I didn't realize. I'm sorry for that. If not, I would have done that, but this doesn't take much of the time. What's the SQL Server name we are taking? OK, cool. We'll directly deploy. Anyways, we are not going to waste any time there. So let it, oh, Jesus, it's deploying to Robbie. OK, cool. It's coming to the same place. No need to worry on that. So the next thing what we will do is we will come and open the Visual Studio and try to connect to that machine. Step by step, we'll go and we will see what is that which makes our application eligible. I'm opening this application. We will deploy the SQL also. We will take small baby steps, guys, because our intention is learning the knowledge. It's not that we will rush and forget the nitty-gritties or the deep into weeds kind of stuff and then dust ourselves saying that, oh, we completed this session. But no, let's take, even as I was mentioning, even if it is 10 or 20 sessions more, I'm fine going 10 or 20 sessions more, but I don't want to cut down or take shortcuts. So this is the application. Well, let me do one thing. Let me remove the previous publishing files so that we will know that what all the things are needed for us to do that. OK, now it's pretty clean. So the first thing what will happen is this is the virtual machine. OK, inside this virtual machine, when you come into this, we have seen under the IaaS, there is a management service, and that management service what is the port? The port is 8172. I will stop this just for a moment. OK, let's come back over here and then let's keep it here. How many? I will make you run through the problems. I'm not going to give you a straight away cakewalk thing. Let's hit the road with a lot of problems. Then we will remember that, oh, OK, if this is happening, the possible ways where we can go and hunt is these all the places. So I'm saying that let's go and deploy this to Azure and let's go and deploy this to virtual machine. And I need to re-enter credentials. I don't know why. Send the notification. Ah, got it. That's from US.
The screen looked like freeze for me. I'm not sure for other as well.
Guys, are you guys seeing the publishing wizard?
I can see the remote desktop, only the download folder. That's it.
Anyone else seeing something different than?
No, we can see the publish screen.
I can see
okay.
the publish window.
Oh, OK. Cool. So add the publish profile. And let's go to Azure. Let's go to the virtual machine. OK, now see this in this virtual machine. This is the one. And have this. And it is trying to contact the IaaS on that virtual machine, VM for web app. That's this virtual machine. But we have stopped the management service. Now it spins for some time and then it says that hands up, I can't do it. OK, could not reach that. So this is one of the possible reason you can face that issue. Now let's come back over here. And let's do a refresh. I think it might not help, but let me do the problem is this. Jesus. OK, no problem. Let me come from this. But anyways, I have to let's go through this painful path. We will understand the things better. Now select this. Now it's not creeping. You're able to hit this. This is one possible reason. What is the other possible reason? Other possible reason is advanced Windows firewall. Let's go to this advanced Windows firewall. And this is inside the virtual machine. And inside this virtual machine, I added an inbound rule for this 8172 management service. OK, I opened it. And I'm saying that block the connection. Apply. Let's come back over here. This is the second place where we can get beaten black and blue. Now, first we have seen the management service in IaaS. It wasn't on and ensure that 8172 is a port. Now, the second step is the advanced firewall. So someone can ask, hey, Swamy, we have enabled that 8172 port. This is something coming from the DMZ. So the traffic is coming from the internet. I'm sorry, the traffic is coming from the internet. This is some virtual machine in this world. It is coming to this. And here in the inbound rules, we are allowing it. But the advanced firewall inside the virtual machine is not allowing. Now, the other possible cause will be this one. So there are three possible causes. The first possible cause is if you don't have this, you didn't punch the hole in the firewall inside your inbound port. That's the first possible way you are having an issue. The second possible reason could be your advanced firewall inside the Windows firewall is blocking you. That is the second place where you need to look at it. And the third place where you look at it is you need to check that under inside the IaaS, the management services is on. OK, and the port is 8172. Right now, when you come back, there are 3 steps which is happening. Let's discuss about that step. Now, when I'm going to this Azure, I select the virtual machine and select this. The first hop it makes is onto this virtual machine. It goes to the networking inbound rules 8172. You cross the first hurdle. And the second hurdle is it goes and checks at your Windows firewall rules. Is it allowing this? Yes, it is allowing. Now you pass through. And the third place is the management service is not enabled 8172. Then that's the third place where you can face problem. I mean, this is how I learned it. I faced these problems in these places. I learned it. There could be other reasons which I am not aware, but at least whatever I know, I'm just passing across. So now, after doing that, click on show all settings. It's not done. There is one more step you need to do that. Now come back to the connection. Now connection, see that. Now you understood why do you need that 8172 port? So when the Visual Studio 2022 or Visual Studio 2017 or 19 or whatever the version of the Visual Studio, when it is connecting to that management service IaaS on the infrastructure as a service, so it goes on port 8172. Now you guys understand what is this 8172 port and why it is important. So 8172 in IaaS, in advanced firewall, and in the inbound rule. And that is the same port on which the Visual Studio connects. Now you're connecting everything. Now, another thing you need to be very careful is the default website. So that means what will happen is if you come to this site, so the default website is this. I feel like dancing because a lot of speakers, they're playing different songs. Festival season, so I'm not going to dance. I can't dance, but I'm feeling like. So this is the IaaS start file. So that is the default site. So when you're trying to deploy, it goes and tries to deploy to the default site. That's not where we want to deploy. OK, so that SQL Server is done. So let's quickly come back to this one. So now at least we understand the key pieces. I mean, the connection, we are only halfway done. We'll come back and revisit in next 5 minutes. First, we need a SQL Server, isn't it? So I'll close this and open the bookstore DB. And in the meanwhile, let's come back to this real quick and go back to this Robbie resource group. And you see this one, SQL Server, bookstore, database and server. So one thing is the virtual machine is not in the network settings, so we'll not be able to connect it. I don't want to again waste the time, but what I'll do is I'll come back and directly go and add that virtual machine is dev VM boxes. That's my virtual machine, and this will enable us to connect from the virtual machine because we need to deploy that. Let's give it a minute, real quick. OK, there you go. So we got it. So next thing, this is a DAC pack. I think we use this DAC pack in the previous episode. I don't know. If not, this is just a dark pack. It has got a very small SQL Server database and SQL stored procedure. Let's go and hit this. Click on edit and try connecting. And what was that? I have given the password for that. Okay, password $123. Okay. $. Okay. Now let me test the connection. Why? Wow. Good. No problem. Never mind. Let's not waste the time. Let's come back over here and go back to this and go back to this one and go back to this connection string and grab this connection string from here. Let's not waste the time. Open this and put it. So that's the FQDN. Let me take that FQDN and get into this box. And I will clear all the connections. That way, remove from history. It helps me a lot. Okay. So now, oh, I'm sorry. That was my mistake, guys. I need to paste this entire connection. So we need a browser. No. That's the way I need to. Let me open up a notepad here and I'll paste it. The first thing is I can copy this till here and drop it. And what is the second one? SQL Bookstore dev 001 demo user. OK, and what is the database name? Database name was this. That's the database name. And the password I will. Let's test the connection. The connection has been succeeded. Now we click on OK. Now it will come here. There are two things which we need to focus is the first thing is you need to ensure that you're deploying to Microsoft Azure SQL database that's in the project settings and the connection string which you need to establish. And other way you can validate is if you come to this the SQL server, you're over here and let's go to the database and you see this database is here and expand the tables as well as the programmability and the stored procedures. I'll have a glass of water, folks. You're not seeing anything. That's cool. All you need to do is click and start. And come to this output. You see that it started compiling. And it creates, you can get into this. You see that it creates the DAC pack, the DLL, and it creates a SQL file also because it's deploying. It takes 1 minute. It doesn't take much of the time. Takes 1 minute. It doesn't take much. Let's wait real quick. And the thing is that it clearly shows, it creates another SQL file. That's the deployment one, because at this point of time, we are not seeing the another SQL file. It's not the file which is getting deployed. There will be another file which it is going to create it. Let's give it a minute. Ooh. Let's wait. Is it taking longer than? No, generally takes 2 to 3 minutes. I don't know. This SQL deployment is the one which takes a little bit more, but no need to worry on that one. Anyways, this deployment is going on. We don't need to worry about this one. I will open another instance of Visual Studio so that we can carry on. The only thing is we need the connection string, which we can hook it up little later. OK, now the next thing is we'll come to this one. Next thing is we'll come to the web API. So the SQL Server deployment is going on here. You see this is what I was talking about. The bookstore data SQL, that's the SQL file. You see that gets created. And after that, it starts deploying one by one. You see that it creates the stored procedures and the table. And if I come in here, right mouse click on that and do a refresh, you can see, oh, Jesus, it came and it did something. God, I did a refresh and looks like I spoiled it. Let's open the programmability. You can see that the books is here. Slowly it is appearing. Now I'll go and click on view data. We should see a couple of rows here. And then we'll start deploying the web API. You can see that these are some of the authors which we have it. OK, that's cool. So I will close this as we don't need that. Now let's come back to this. What did I do? I shouldn't have closed it. This got kicked in. Anyways, it will be done. In the meanwhile, let's do a preparatory, some preparation. It will be fast, I'm sure. It's just a minor patch, I assume. So let's come back and let's understand few of the things here. Now, as I was mentioning, every website which we create here has to map to a separate folder. So let's use the same one, but we'll call it as V1. So let's go back to this, explore this. Here you can see there is something known as C:\inetpub www.root books API. So now let's compare. I said that let's compare this with the web application, the PaaS one, whichever it is getting created. Now you can come here and let's go to the bottom of this and let's use this SSH. And let's go and connect to that SSH here. We can use SSH or we can use the Kudu console. Shouldn't be a big deal. My favorite is the Kudu console, but I thought to use this SSH over here. The connection will start. If that is troubling, I can go to the Kudu console. It shouldn't be a big deal. Let's go to the Kudu console. If this is starting, this is starting. Okay, there you go. You got it. So now you see this, the site and dub root. Now this is the PaaS. So it's taking care of everything. In the previous diagram, we have seen that it is taking care of this one, OS, middleware, and runtime. It is taking care of everything. All we need to do is this deployment. You see that it has created a site, it has created a dub root. But whereas when we are creating it in infrastructure as a service, we need to ensure that we are patching it, we are installing the .NET runtime, we are installing the web deploy, we are installing the URL rewrite, whatever we need it for as part of our application. We need to get into dub root and we need to create this. But whereas you see that the platform as service, everything is they're creating it. All you need to do is go and deploy something. So if you do a PAR, there will be one file. I don't know why this guy is not showing, but I'll show you that. I'll park it at this point of time, but we will definitely revisit that and we will see that hosting start file. OK, let's park it. Let's come back over here. We are seeing that the books API. Let's create the books API. I'll create another folder, books API. I'm calling it as V1. OK, similarly, let me create the books app, also V1. Anyways, we are going to deploy both the web API as well as the web app. Let's call it as both as V1. So the first thing is we need to create a website in the IaaS. So where you have to go? You have to go to this IaaS. This is infrastructure as a code. Sorry, infrastructure as a service, not as a code. I'm sorry. So you need to create a website and this is a physical path and copy that and put it over here. OK, and test the connection. So you're able to connect it. And the next thing is what is the port you need it. So let's start as 8085. OK, and host name and other things which we are not doing it now. We might do it in future. I'm not sure. So you can see that we have created that. While we are here, let's create the books app also. So that will save our time so that we can deploy one after another. So let me come back to this and let's create this site. Come back to this and add a site. And the physical path is this. And the site name is this. And 8086, that's the port. OK, so we have the 8085 is for our web API. And for the web app, it is 8086. The ports are ready. OK, now you know the name. What is the name? You need to go and deploy this to this web API. Now let's come back here. And thank God. I thought we are done for the day. God is there with us. So skip for now. So let's open the web API. And right mouse click on that. And click on publish. What is this? Can't access. OK, so we set that show all settings. And I told we need to go back and this one you need to modify. How? What is the name which we have given? Books API V1. That should be. And you know the password. OK, save the password, invalidate the connection. Now this should validate. Now you see the green tick. And because I already deployed and did everything, you're not seeing one thing. Is that once this we have seen it, and this one also we have seen the port in the advanced firewall as well as the inbound rule. And this certificate we are not seeing because I already did that. So that's the reason you're not seeing. If not, this will come. OK, so that is perfectly valid now. Now I click on save. And now let's come back to this virtual machine over here and go back to this one. And I'll close this so that we have less number of things to deal with. You see this, the books app v1 is empty. Now let's come back and click on publish. OK, so it is publishing. So we can keep a watch on this to see that. Is he deploying? Is he deploying it or not? Let's come back over here. The publish is succeed. Now let's come back to this one. Let's do a refresh. Oh, it is in API. I'm sorry, I'm looking at a wrong location. It is deployed here just now. OK, that has been perfectly deployed. Now we have to do one step, one small step, which I forgot. It's my mistake. So let me expand this and let me put the password over here. That's a password. OK, let me go and grab this copy. And we need to ensure that first it is working locally. We didn't test that. So I'll come back here and come to this app settings. And is that what I'm using inside? The SQL Server. Data store settings is there. And SQL Server connection string. And that SQL Server connection string, Redis connection string. Yeah, so it's here. So I need to modify this point to our SQL Server. And let me ensure that it is not using this for the time being. Let's execute this. Let's see that our API works. I have included the code for the Redis cache, but we didn't create the Redis cache. There will be some errors in the console. Don't worry about it. That we will take care in another module where we are discussing about it, about the Redis cache. Now you see that, click on execute. Now this goes, and do you think it will get the data? It will not. I'll show you why. Now it spins and it throws an error. Oh, sorry, we are inside the virtual machine. So it is giving me all the data. It will throw the error once we configure in our virtual machine here in this virtual machine. So the connection string is very important. So it is there. So what is the connection string? We know the connection string. So let me stop it here and go grab the connection string. That's the connection string it should be. Let me grab the connection string, come back to this IaaS. I mean, there are other safe and secure ways to do, but as this is an sample, we are doing it this way. But in your production, there will be a lot of secured practices which you will do it not like this. So I go and paste the connection which we have tested locally, and let me save this file. After saving this file, I have to come back to the website and I will do manage website, stop the website, and manage website, start the website. You can use the options over here also, like start, stop, and restart. And again, I need to do right mouse click on that, manage website, and browse. And it is browsing over here. And then there'll be a lot of things, guys. Please focus on this API/books. Now, when you do this API/books, initially it said 404 error, but now it gives 500 error. OK, now after getting this 500 error, we have to go back to the www root. Under the inet pub, you have the logs, and you see this is the one which seems to be updated just now. And you go into that and you are seeing that we are not getting any clue over here. OK, that's cool. So let's close this and go and search somewhere. So this is also one of the places you will get it sometimes, but different logs will be tracked at different places. So there's nothing in failed request tracing and nothing in here. W3C, there's some logs over here. It says that 500. Apart from 500, it didn't say tell us anything. So who is the one who can help us? So there's one guy who can help us is event viewer. Now let's go to the event viewers in the Windows logs and application. Now you see that red color, you should be very happy. Oh God, that's cool. So it says that cannot open SQL Server so-and-so requested by login with the client IP. So that means this virtual machine's IP has not been punched as a hole in the firewall of the SQL database. Now we understand that. So we'll quickly come back over here and go to the SQL, come back here and go to the SQL Server and network settings, and then punch the hole here. Add a firewall rule. That's the web app VM, and that's the IP. Put it over here and save. Cool. Now let's come back to this virtual machine and go back to the Brave browser. Oh, you're seeing the records. That's cool. So technically, we should be able to access it outside also. Now let's try that. So every step will face problems, guys, because that's what I want to teach. I want to teach you with problems, not directly the cakewalk stuff. So what you need to do is in the DNS, you need to go and enable the DNS. This one I didn't tell you. You need to enable the DNS and enable the static IP. So that's where you can access this with the FQDN, the fully qualified domain name. So technically, I'll come in here into this virtual machine, and that's on HTTP and 8085/API/books. So when I execute this, it will not allow me to reach that because that we know that it will not allow. not to waste time. Copy that. What should we do? We should come to the networking and punch the hole in the firewall, saying that, hey, allow this inbound. So that's the destination and the port is this one. Okay. And I will leave it as it is because I didn't touch here also. Let me leave it as it is. And 8085, that is app v1. Okay. And click on add. So let's wait until it creates this 8081. Sorry, 8085. That's there. Now let's come back now. It says that it timed out. Now let's try to hit it. 8081. So it's still trying to do that, but it's not able to reach it. So even though you punch the hole in the firewall, in the inbound of this networking, you have this 8085, but still you're not able to hit that. So what is the other thing we learned it? The other thing what we have learned is you need to go to this advanced settings here. Now add a new rule. I mean, when you're doing in your production, please ensure that you're taking at most care, not opening this to wild. I'm opening this to wild, but you guys need to take care. Extra cautious, please. So I'm blindly doing this one. API v1. It's done, isn't it? Okay, API v1. Let's double click that. What support? Where is that? Okay, that's over here. Let's come back. Moments, tears of joy, please. Now everyone should cry out of happiness. Tears of joy. We are able to see the content. Now this is infrastructure as a service. Now you see that how much pain you need to go through. I mean, not a pain, it's an efforts. Like you have to create a virtual machine, you need to patch it, and you need to have your IaaS and the runtime you need to maintain in any security patches and ensure that you're securing the firewall. You need to create a website and all these things. That's how you will do infrastructure as a service and you deploy a web API. Now let's see the other side of this face and let's do a compare and contrast. Now let's come back to this and let's quickly create manually. Let me create a manually. I don't want to use the Linux flavor at this point of time, but we will come back and use it in future. Now let's come to this. I want a web app. Why it is so tough? Okay, web app is here. I want to create this web app. That's the one. Now I'm calling it as app-books API 002. It's available. Cool. It's available. So I'm saying that the runtime stack is .NET 6 because that's what we installed there. I want to take it in the Windows and East. And I'll create a new one. I'm calling it as plan. Okay. And let me take. Now you have to see one important thing. Now, when you come to this virtual machine, in this virtual machine, you see that you have some capacity of hardware, some capacity of memory. You have everything there. Let's go back to that virtual machine real quick and let's quickly see that. Now, this virtual machine has got 4 vCPUs, 16 GB RAM, and this is operating system. Windows Server 2016 database. And it has got IO and this much of disk. Everything is there here. If you come and see the size, that size will give you the clue. 4 vCPUs, 16 GB RAM, 8 data disks you can have. The max IOPS is 6,400 and the premium is supported or not supported. But net is that there is a fixed compute, a fixed hardware you have it where you have to pay. Right now, when you're creating a web app here, so you need to select the SKU. Inside the SKU, if you take this standard, you have to pay 5,300 rupees. I'm rounding off. Don't quote me. Say you 5,300. Oh, there is a scam of 60-70 rupees. Swamy is doing. No, I'm not doing the scam. It's just I'm rounding off. I'm a little weak in max. Sorry for that. So here, if I select P1 V2, that's 10,000 and change, and P2 V2, it's 20,000 and change. We are seeing only the price, but we are not seeing the facilities which you're getting it here. Like if you come and select this, the standard SKU, what is that you're getting? You can do auto scale up to 10 instances and staging 5 slots, daily backup, traffic manager, 50 GB, and a little Azure compute units, some memory. What is this memory? You're getting 1.75 memory. When you go to P1 V2, you're getting 3.5 and 210 Azure compute units. Here you're getting 100 Azure compute units. And what else you're getting? In standard, it's 10 slots instances. Here it is 20 instances, and staging slots were 5 in standard. Here it is 20, and here 250 GB hard disk, but there it was only 50 GB hard disk. Like how much you pay based on your business requirement, you have to purchase the SKU, the plan, app service plan. So here, when you compare between the infrastructure as a service and the platform as a service, what is that which is guaranteed is in infrastructure as a service, you have a virtual machine and you have a full control of that. You can deploy the type of application, how you want to open the ports, and everything is in your hand. What third-party softwares you install, but you definitely know that this is the fixed amount of hardware capacity you have been provided. But when it comes to this one, you are purchasing an app service plan. And this says that I'm going to give you the compute power, which is equivalent to of so and so hardware. Okay, it's not that if I select S1, he is going to give A series. It says that it's equivalent to A series compute, whatever is the A series machine, like D series machine, like we took this machine here. This is D4S V3. Does that mean that this guy is going to give you D4S V3 machine? But he's telling that it's equivalent power, right? So when you come and you can do a comparison, it's equivalent compute power, but he's telling that, okay, what is that he's giving? He's giving 420 Azure compute units. Okay, a dedicated resource used to run the application deployed on the app service plan. That's very, very important, folks, when you're selecting that. So let me select the shared. Now you see that free, you will get 60 minutes of compute in a day. And here you're getting 420, but this is free. This you're paying $700 and 1 GB RAM. Let's select this. OK, now rest everything. Guys, someone unmuted their phone. Please mute yourself. That's disabled. Now I don't want application insight at this point of time. Now I do a review and create. Now I do a create. Now this is getting created. It will not take much time. what we can do is it will create it here. I want to give you one tip here. When it creates it, you can do a refresh. And what is that it is creating? One thing is server forms. So that is the app service plan. How do you know that it is an app service plan? See that this is the name which we have given to plan. For the web application, we have given app -books API. But for the app service plan, we have given plan. That means when it is web service, web server, that means it is giving the plan. You will have that in the deployment details. You can do a refresh. It should show 2 entries there. One is the website. That's the one. If you go into that operation and you see that it took 30 seconds to create the website. And how do you know that? App and books. Now I close this and go to this operation details where you can see that it took 11 seconds for that. And this is the plan. That means this server form is an app service plan, and that's a website. That's one tip. And now let me come into this one. And let's go into this app service plan first. Inside this app service plan, you will come and you can scale up here. Now this is what we selected. Now you have extra budget or the business needs more, you can bump it up and you can scale. Scale out and other things, that's another entirely dedicated session. It itself needs 2 hours. We can't speak now. And the file system storage, how much of storage you're getting it, it shows that out of 1 GB, some 9K has been used. And apps, each app service plan can be shared among multiple apps, but you need to ensure that you're not stepping on other toes, like one application chewing up the memory or RAM will impact other applications, but that should be carefully designed, architected. So that's the quick walkthrough of the plan. That means this is the compute which is backing up your app. Now this is an app service. And here you can see the configuration. Now, this configuration guide takes a little bit time. You go to this general settings, you see the .NET Stack 6, 32-bit integrated, blah, 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 blah. A lot of things are there. We'll come back and we'll definitely revisit. And what all the default files which is allowing. Hosting start, so a lot of files are there. We'll come back to this one. Remember this hosting start HTML, folks. I'll come here to the overview and we'll be done in 10 minutes. Just give me 10 minutes more. We'll make a logical closure and then we'll continue in the next session. So you're seeing that this is being displayed. OK, where is this coming from? Let's come to this. Go to the, you can use any one of this. This is my favorite guy at this point of time. Then you go to this hosting start. You click on go. And you can come to this console. It's much better. The console gives access pretty fast. Now you do that site www root. You do dir. You see that hosting start, cat. You see that this is the content which is getting displayed. So you saw when we went into the configuration, hosting start.html is one of the things which is there. Now I remove everything. I say that h1 tag. Oh, Jesus. I save this. Now go and refresh that. There you go. So you can come in here and do a cat again. The previous content is got, this is coming. So now you can again do a compare. There is a folder which we have created and we pushed all these binaries and hooked up that to a particular website and port and everything. We did everything. Now, for you, someone is doing, they created a website, they created a folder, they pushed some file, they hooked up this, they punched the hole in the firewall. Everything is taken care by the cloud provider. Now let's deploy our API, the same API which we have deployed to the infrastructure as a service, the virtual machine. Let's deploy that to the web app now. So right mouse click on that and publish it. And now this time I want to do a new and double click on that. And this time it's Windows service. And that's the Robbie. And this is the one. And next. And API management, I don't want at this point of time. And click on next and click on finish. You can do it with the GitHub Actions. That is for the future. Let's park it for the future. OK, now you can come back and check this, the connections over here. You see one difference when we deploy to the virtual machine that is getting deployed in 8172, but here it is 443. OK, and you can see that the username and password, that is where you will find it. We'll discuss that in a minute. So you can come to this one and go over here. And under the deployment center, you will have these credentials. Like you can see this, you'll get it here, and also you can get it from the published profile. You can get the published profile and upload the published profile in your Visual Studio 2022. We'll do it in another time, but at least let's go and hit the road, and we can do another high level compare and summary so that at least we have seen how to deploy the SQL Server and how nothing we have created manually. Folks, please understand everything through ARM templates. Like click, click, click. Now we created SQL Server, SQL database, ARM template. We have created virtual machine in ARM template. We have created the app service in ARM template. I mean, that's again, still a lot of things are there, but at least that's a good start. Now here I will do API/books. OK. Now here also we'll face problems, but let's learn how the problems are different, but where you should go and search to get the information for this one. So here it gave the same 500 error. Now you need to understand that we did into the event where there's a lack of time. I'm taking a shortcut to directly go and teach you how can you go and investigate that. At this point of time, I'm closing it, and then I'll come back to this one. Directly go to the Kudu console. That is this advanced tools. We can do step by step. We are running short of time. It's 10:30 p.m. So, but this is very, very important, folks. Now inside this Kudu console, you can go to this either command or the other one, and you need to check the logs and event log. You remember event viewer, right? So Redis cache, that's expected. Now see that cannot open the server. You remember you saw that same in this event viewer. Cannot open the server so and so with this IP address. Whatever you see in this one, you can get it from the Kudu console. But there's another way that I want to show. I will show you in the next episode. OK, now check what is the IP which it is scribbling. It says that this IP, it's not there in the firewall. So what you need to do, come back over here and add a firewall. This is web API app service. OK, punch the hole. Now save that. Save this. And now come back over here. Let me copy this. Let's paste it over here. There you go. Tears of joy again. Now you're able to access it. But there is a other way which we can do it, but I don't want to take your time now because it's 1.5 hours we discussed in a length, but let's do a quick recap. So we started using the templates, ARM templates to create the resources what we needed. Then we started discussing about installing and configuring the IaaS and all the required softwares inside this virtual machine. And there are three key things: the 8172 port, the management service, and ASP.NET Core module V2 that comes as part of the hosting bundle, the web deploy, and the URL rewrite. Actually, I didn't get time. I have bought a content of 4 hours and tried to squeeze in 1.5 hours, which is not possible. Let's take the step 2. And the thing is that when the traffic is coming externally, so you need to allow it in the inbound for the network for that particular virtual machine. And even if you're allowing in the inbound, there is an advanced firewall inside that server that might block. So ensure that you are checking that one also. And after that, whether IaaS, the management service is enabled or not, you need to do that. But when you're creating a website, you create a folder and take the folder, create a website name and map that to the folder and validate that it is connecting. And when you're deploying through the Visual Studio, ensure that the 8172 port is open, it's validated, you give the password and say yes to the client certificate, and then you will go and deploy. Ensure that the default website you're changing it. If not, it goes and destroys the default website. And then ensure that advanced firewall has been punched with a hole for that particular port which you mapped it in the binding. And then you have to create an inbound. And then some of the connection strings has to be modified. You need to modify. And if that connection string, we put it in the firewall of the SQL Server, which is not needed because generally we create a, you've seen that in the first scenario, I added the virtual network because both are in my subscription. I believe this virtual network, any virtual machine which has been created inside the virtual machine is a legitimate. So I allow them. So should be those kind of secure mechanisms. We'll come and discuss about the security stuff a little later, but that's one thing. Now, when you come, that's like an infrastructure as a code. Now, you know that what all the responsibilities on your shoulders. Now, when it comes to the platform as a service, now you see you're enjoying the benefits. You said that, hey, I need this much of compute. And here in this virtual machine, you're saying that this much of fixed compute I need it because you've taken D4 or some SKU you've taken it. You will pay for that, whether you're using the full capacity or partial capacity, you use it. But when it comes to the app service, you can go start slow with free. Someone is using more frequently and you're making money. So you can come to the shared. You are paying 700 rupees a month and still more people are hitting the website and it is crashing. So you have budget now, you're making money out of that. You can go. That means it's guaranteeing that compute. Another important thing is a lot of heavy lifting is done and taken care by the cloud provider, Azure. Now they are creating the website, they're mapping, they're porting, everything is taken care by them. All you need to do is go and hit it, get the profile and do that. And Kudu console, it itself is a big ocean. Kudu console, I've shown you the power. In the virtual machine, we went into the event viewers to check that what happened, but its equivalent is event log.xml in the Kudu console, which we can do that. So in the next episode, what we will do is, because now we discussed in depth about the infrastructure as a service and the platform as a service, how do we deploy? And and lot to discuss. We will go step by step. In the next episode, we will deploy 2 more applications to the connectivity, but we'll not talk about any one of these ports and everything. I'll open it because we know that what we did it in the previous episode. If not, I'll ask them to go and watch the previous episode and come prepared. OK, and apart from that, we'll move further. OK, now any final